Welcome everybody, I'm RJ of the Nerdy Brew, and here on this channel we talk TV, movies, and everything in between, all while drinking a cup of coffee. Now if you like one of those things or all of those things, won't you consider like, subscribing, and hit that notification bell, and becoming a fellow Brewster. So today, fellow Brewsters, this is a top 10 part 2, which is the top 10 best shows of 2022. So I already did a part 1 of shows that I liked, that I didn't want them to get skipped. But these are the best shows that I love unequivocally throughout the whole year. I just think that these shows are amazing standouts, and I figured you'll appreciate them as well. And these are the best shows that I watched. If you don't take my recommendation seriously, I'm kicking you out the group. So number 10 is Reasonable Doubt. Now, Reasonable Doubt premiered on Hulu, and it's about this young black lawyer. And what I like about the show is that she is an extremely flawed character, and she is a phenomenal lawyer. I think she's partner at her practice, and she gets involved with a murder case with Sean Patrick Willis. Sean Patrick, Save the Last Dance guy, right?
Make a sound. Come on. All right, no more. Check it. Got that?
But she's like going through many things. Like, her daughter is growing up faster than she's expected, and her daughter is 9 years old. Also, her son is 14. And he's going through emotional challenges, and she's also having difficulty with her husband, and she's also trying to find herself and deal with all these other navigating issues outside of her professional life, trying to even be a good friend, and also following the case, and how everything unravels was also a good part of the storyline, and her just getting involved in her personal relationships end up spiraling, and it just ended up being a good show. Love seeing powerful black women, and also she was a beautiful woman to look at, and it was a good show. Seeing her not be a woman, but seeing her be a person, just going through how hard life can be, and they also add a great entertaining narrative. So number 10, Reasonable Doubt. Number 9 is American Gigolo. Now, American Gigolo stars John Barenthal. Who's a successful working actor. You've seen his face in many things. But with American Gigolo, it's really an interesting story, because he ends up becoming a gigolo from an early age, and that's all he knows. He goes to jail he goes to prison for a murder he didn't commit, and then he comes out reformed. And also with him coming out reformed, the actual killer confessed, and with the confession, it goes into the mystery of why he got set up in the first place to be this patsy to go to jail. So he gets out, but he's trying to live a civilian life, and be rehabilitated and keep his head down. But his past comes up behind him to confront him, and he gets involved right back into that. And with him getting involved in that, it ends up unraveling the humanity that he ended up establishing to get back into that debauched lifestyle. But also from his past, there's also revelations that come in. And it was just a great show to follow it, to see this man just go through these peaks and valleys of just trying to reconcile the crazy life that he had. It was a good show. I actually look forward to watching it week after week. It was a good show. American Gigolo, number 9, on Showtime. I recommend it. Number 8, Dark Winds. Dark Winds, AMC Plus, came out earlier this year. It's produced by George R.R. Martin of Game of Thrones, and also Robert Redford and Robert Redford Sundance. Please, please, people know these individuals. But they produced it, and it's straight. There's only one white man in the show. No, that's not true. There's a white family as well, but it's based with these natives. There's a robbery.
You hear about this armored car robbery? Eyewitnesses placed that hijacked chopper headed into Navajo country.
Thought we were talking about a double homicide.
We're talking about both.
That happens, and also with the robbery, there's a kidnapping and a murder, and it all happens on this Navajo reservation. And the Navajo police chief, who's also a fantastic actor. His first name is Michael. I can't think of his name, but he's also in everything. And he has a great agent, and he's always showing up. But he's leading the show as the captain of the police force on this Navajo land, and they're trying to solve the kidnapping and the robbery. And also there was a murder that starts off the case, and the murder was just done viciously, and it seems like the murder was done supernaturally, but they're trying to have it in a natural base of trying to solve the crime.
Two people were murdered at the motel last night. But the scene suggests foul play.
And he's building this relationship with this young man who has his own secrets. He's a police officer as well. And he has his own secrets, and it just comes to them trying to trust each other and try to do what's best for the native community involved with this crime. But the government is still watching, as the government is the government, to impede on, smaller communities. It was 6 episodes. Everything was intense, and it just takes its time with great storytelling of building the community, building the relationships. Everyone has this hard past. The revelation is nice and slow and built, and it's just a fantastic show. I loved it, and I love seeing brown people get the spotlight. Like, it was a great show. It was one of my favorites. I recommend it highly. Dark Winds. So if you got time over the holiday break, pop that on. It's only 6 episodes, and I guarantee, because since the show is finished, you'll try to figure out the crime and how everything is connected. It was great. Okay, number 7, The Offer. The Offer premiered earlier on Paramount Plus, and The Offer was one of my favorite shows. Is my favorite show. That's why I made it on this list. I'll do honorable mentions at the end, but the show was about the crafting of The Godfather. And The Godfather is one of my favorite films of all time. 1 and 2. Depending on the day is when I'll switch between which one is my favorite. But, as I said, it's about the crafting of The Godfather. Miles Teller plays Rudy, who is the producer of the film. And he has a white-collar corporate job that he just wants to transition. He read The Godfather, and he sees the vision of The Godfather being a film, and it's all about the different machinations that they have to go through of trying to get the movie filmed, trying to get Francis Ford Coppola and what he wants, and getting the crafting of the actors, and all the uphills of trying to get this movie made. And also the mob gets involved with the Colombo family, and just Rudy's relationship with that, and trying to appease them, and also getting involved that they were not so far away of helping into this movie being made. And it just goes into that, and the movie was just really well done, and I liked the narrative. First of all, these people were real, and also seeing the narrative of how one of my favorite films got crafted and molded to becoming and adding a narrative behind it. And there was also his secretary, and their relationship was great. They're really good friends. They were really good friends, and she was very capable, and she highlighted and elevated every scene that she was in of being a formidable woman in this this patriarchal hierarchy inside Paramount, inside Hollywood. The show was great. The Offer, it's 8 episodes, or 10, 8 to 10, whatever it was. It's a nice, easy binge. It's a good show. It's delightful. You can see the crafting of the Godfather, the people who come and go, the uphill battles that they go through, checking in with the mafia. It was great. It was a great show. So that's my number 7, The Offer. Number 6, The Old Man. Now, The Old Man didn't make this list. I mean, almost didn't make this list, but The Old Man was too fantastic. It was 7 episodes, premiered on FX/Hulu, and it stars Jeff Bridges, and Jeff Bridges is this retired assassin for the FBI, and he's old. He's old, and he's with his dogs, and he's trying to live a hermit life, just be out the way. He loves his daughter, but problems from his past, secrets from the FBI, things that he knows, they come up and they come trying to kill him. So he's on the run. Him and his dogs are on the run from the FBI, and the action is intense. The way the choreography is amazing. To see Jeff Bridges take on this darker role, it was just amazing to see. It was very immersive. He gets involved with this woman who's his landlord, and he brings it in, but he's also on the brink of he'll kill anybody to protect his family and his secrets. It's just a fantastic show. Great highlight. So number 6, The Old Man. Top 5, Dead or Alive. That's just off 1 LP, right? The Bear. Now, The Bear is a dark comedy, and it's such a pivotal and paramount and emotional show where it's this young man who inherited this local restaurant down in New York, and it's a family-owned restaurant, and he was actually like a phenom prodigy within the culinary community, but his brother died, and when his brother died, his brother owned the restaurant, and he inherited that restaurant, and the restaurant is an amalgamation of cultures where you got this older Dominican lady, you got also this young black dude, this young black girl, and she coming from just different base of she just want to be there, but she has no idea how crazy it is. And he's also him and his brother's best friend. He's the co-owner of the restaurant, and just the issues of things unspoken and the grief that they don't end up addressing ends up being a problem for them. And it's just the hurdles that they got to go through of trying to manage this restaurant and trying to make sure that the restaurant comes to a place of functionality. The show is one of my favorite shows. That's why it's on my top 5. And I binged it. All the episodes released all on Hulu, and I just recommend that show. The dialogue is sharp, right? The relationships are effective. All of it just seems it was just an amazing show, and all I could say is I could give that show a lot of praise. And so if anybody want to be like, yo, what am I watching? The Bear. Go watch The Bear now, you know what I mean? Go watch The Bear. So I recommend that. So my top 4, Wednesday ended up being a surprise hit to me. And what I like about the show Wednesday, it came from Tim Burton, and Tim Burton is slightly racist, but it's okay. But I do like his artistry. And the thing about the show is, the Addams Family has been in pop culture for many decades, right? They had the black and white series, the cartoon series, the 2 movies. But with Wednesday, it's more of a deconstruction of who she is, and a reconstruction of who she's trying to be. And they take her away from the family and put her in this boarding school where it happens to also be a murder mystery. And going through the murder mystery, it unravels and a culmination of certain things of bringing everything together and all the different suspects like clue. It could be this person, that person, this other person, and it's kind of like you don't see who the culprit is of these murders until the end of the show. But yeah, it was definitely a fun show. What I liked about it, so I saw there was a lot of criticisms that she's a Mary Sue, and she ends up being good at everything. And what I think that's not a fair criticism, because she is an emotionally removed person, and throughout the show it's about her building genuine relationships and also navigating and not being as selfish as she has been. When she going for this murder is fully to solve the murder is fully for vanity, but as the show progresses, she's actually trying to solve it for the sake of caring for people. You know, she cares about Wednesday, that's from the start of the show, but she just does things that are heinous, and she pushes people away. And with her pushing people away, she's also trying to mend relationships and become more of a well-rounded person as Wednesday. So I definitely enjoyed that theme. I like Jenny Ortega's performance as Wednesday. She was able to take on who the character is and the personification. I thought the show was way better than what it was supposed to be. I absolutely loved it. It was a good show, especially already having biases and attachment to Addams Family and Wednesday. I like the show. So yeah, that ends up being my number 4 is Wednesday. Number 3, surprise hit, had no fucking idea, but Peripheral, that ended up being on Amazon Prime. So Peripheral is made from the same people that made Westworld. And the thing about Peripheral, it has a lot to do with time travel, but it has your consciousness, right, from the present, and their present is still the future, of our future, right? And she goes into the far future, into a peripheral, which is like a fake body, but it's all these, there's 3 different factions in the future, and man, there was apocalyptic events that destroyed their world, but they live in a society, and then there's these 3 branches, there's these the oligarchs, that's not what they're called, but it's the rich society, and then it's the scientific institution, and then the police, and those 3 run the world. And the oligarchs or the rich people are trying to overthrow the bad institutions, but everybody has their own motive of trying to save the world. They're just going about it in different ways, so you don't actually know who the villain is from the hero. And it's also this one girl who is the actress Chloe Moretz, I think, who played Hit Girl. And she's really just trying to save her family. And there's all these different avenues of what the future is. And she also is trying to just save them. And they're going through stuff in the present. And her brother is a vet. And he has his friends. And they are useful when it comes to a fight. And I don't know. The way I describe the show is more intricate than what the show is, than my description of the show. But it ends up, first of all, not being only a good mystery of following each episode and seeing how things unravel, but visually the show is great to look at. The performances are amazing. It's such a good show. Peripheral, it just ended up being my number 3. It was such a great show. Okay, boom! Strange New Worlds, right? But Strange New Worlds, what it did, it was just a simple story, right? And it crafted into being what the intentions of what Star Trek is supposed to be. Knowing about the camaraderie that's on the ship, being diplomatic when it comes to space exploration, and also fun adventures. And also dealing with the relationships between Captain Pike and Spock, and the arc that Pike goes through, because he's alpha male personality, and not in the sense of toxic masculinity, but in the sense of like he's capable, he's kind, he's caring, he knows who he is. He's a captain of a ship, but he's dealing with his mortality. Just the things that he goes throughout the show to get to a place of reconciliation and solace was just a great season arc for him. Spock is dealing with a relationship, which was great. The show had beautiful visuals, and not only having good, beautiful visuals of the show, it just ended up being just crafted real well, where it wasn't supposed to, like, it wasn't overly dark and trying to be gritty like how Discovery was in the early seasons. It just honed in what it was trying to be in the essence of Star Trek. And I just thought it was a fantastic show. It's fun, engaging, it's thought-provoking, it's action-filled, beautiful visuals. It ended up being my number 2 show, and I'm glad that I was able to put it on the list. But that is Strange New Worlds. Number 1 is House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon is my number 1 favorite show of the year. First of all, after the stink of Game of Thrones and how they botched season 8, it's like how would the curiosity of going into this show, right? So with them going into this show, it elevated what Game of Thrones is to me, in my eyes. First of all, Game of Thrones is Game of Thrones. You can't get rid of, there's brutality in the world. There's a lot of sex in that world. And what they did with the show was they didn't make it softcore prawn, right? They didn't do that. They didn't make it softcore. It was, I mean, it's part of the world. You can't get around that. It's even accentuated on in the reading material. But it was just filmed. It was filmed naturally and tastefully, and it wasn't overt in your face about how nasty the intercourse could be, right? It wasn't nudity. It wasn't nudity for nudity's sake, right? It was very placed for the story. I loved it. Loved the performances. The dialogue was amazing. I read House of the Dragon, or not House of the Dragon, Dance of Dragons, and I read that section of the book because I was nosy. I wanted to know how everything was going to unfold during that time. So I ended up finishing the book before the show ended, or that section of the book. I ended up finishing, and I ended up reading more of it too. There's the Blackfire Rebellion. So, but anywho, that ended up happening where, finishing the story, they elevated the dialogue.
My family has just been destroyed. But instead of being by my side or near us, you chose to celebrate your own rise, laughing with your whores and your leg spittles. You have no allies at court but me. I have only ever defended you. Yet everything I've given you, you've thrown back in my face!
You've only ever tried to send me away, to the Vale, to the City Watch. Anywhere but by your side. 10 years you've been king, and yet not once have you asked me to be your hand.
Why would I do that?
Because I'm your brother. And the blood of the dragon runs thick.
Then why do you cut me so deep?
I've only ever spoken the truth. I see Otto Hightower for what he is.
An unwavering and loyal hand.
A cunt.
And changing how the king was, because Paddy Considine of being King Viserys was a very impactful performance.
It both gladdens my heart and fills me with sorrow to see these faces around the table. The faces most dear to me in all the world. My own face is no longer a handsome one. If indeed it ever was. But tonight, I wish you to see me as I am. Not just a king, but your father, your brother, your husband, and your grandson. Messiah, who may not, it seems, walk for much longer among you.
Very human and very believable, and the visual effects work, what they did for him was great. Loving seeing my man Corlys Valerian, right? The black man. So with Corlys Valerian, and when you see him, like he's one of the best characters in the book. And I just love that they added that melanin to that man, and allowing him to be one of the most powerfulest houses inside of the show, but also just the political intrigue of the show, the costuming of the show, the visual effects of the dragons of the show. It just, what Game of Thrones season 1 is definitely what House of Dragons is. And I'm already biased because I like the book, what they applied in the book, and also the changes that they did just at the end of the, spoilers. It's very different how it plays out in the books. Definitely very different how it plays out in the books. And it's not a
my children, and you shall hear.
Perfect narrative within the books. So I just feel like this is how it's played out in reality, how they have it in the show. But I can go on and on. I think that was the best fantastic show made this year, and I hate that we gotta wait till 2024 for it to come through. Some honorable mentions on the list: Moon Knight. Loved Moon Knight. Moon Knight was great to me. I love those last 3 episodes, episode 4, 5, and 6. I thought they were great episodes and going to Moon Knight's psyche. And then also Under the Banner of the Sun premiered on FX. That's an honorable mention, starring Andrew Garfield. That was a great show. But yeah, those are my top 10 shows of the year. This is going to be a crapshoot to getting edited. I swear to God, I don't want to, but I will. Because the new year is about to start, so I just want to get this out the way. And so these are shows that you can watch now. These are shows that I utterly loved for the rest of the year. And that's it. Let me know your favorite shows down in the comments below. There's going to be a part 3 of the best seasons of returning shows of 2022. But I'm not going to shoot that until next year because there's still a couple shows that I need to watch. But with all that being said, I'm going to bring this video to an end. And I want you to be you, do you, see the bigger picture. Have a fantastic day because you deserve it. This is that channel. Peace.
On top, Kung Fu, Bruce Lee chop, Moon rocks, go Red Sox, tryna go far like Boondocks, headshot, blunt stay high, talking shit, gotta pull up on they block, you fraud, I'm couch guard, know you got a tax like a state charge, safe house, safe house, safe house.